Hello everybody, my name's Frank. I've invented 11 throws. Last June, a year ago, on June 13th actually, I invented 2 new throws, which is kind of mind-boggling to invent 2 new throws on the same day after playing Frisbee for 55 years. Today's my birthday, June 1st, 2024, and so I thought in honor of my birthday, I would release a video of all the throws that I've invented, all 11 of them. I've been playing Frisbee since the late 60s. Played my first Frisbee football game in 1972 in my backyard in South Bend, Indiana. Started playing Ultimate in the late 70s. Played conventional, actually for not that long. I developed an offense in 1986. When Felix was 3 years old, I think. That was the hexagon formation that he tries to promote on his website. But it was out of this this formation I started to develop. I developed the formation in 1986 because I had begun doing this thing that I call dribbling, which I now call shredding, because it's a lot like skateboarding or snowboarding to me once you see it for what it is. And so the formation of having players spread out with a center post, basically in a circle with a post, which is the shape of a hexagon, was a platform for me to shred on. And so by 1993, I had been able to coach a team well enough to do some outstanding stuff with shredding. And it's going to change the game. It makes Ultimate a completely different game. The rules are going to have to be overhauled when people figure out what shredding does to the game and why and how. And I'd still like to play. 64 years old as of today, and I can still ball. Anyway, 10 out of the 11 throws that I've invented are what I call lifts. In the late 70s, actually, or through most of the 70s, I loved the action on a air bounce, just a normal air bounce. And for those who don't know what the mechanics or the aerodynamics are in the throwing mechanics, a conventional air bounce typically is into the wind with a downward thrust with the nose up and the tail down, and that action into the wind is going to catch some air and pick the disc up off the ground. I loved the throw, thought it was great. In the late 70s, early 80s, I had in my mind how to create the opposite effect, which at the time I called a reverse air bounce. So in 1981-ish, I invented the backhand lift. It simply did not exist before I invented it, to be quite honest. Nobody threw it. And it wouldn't be so bad that I didn't get any credit for it, but I was completely heckled throughout the 80s. That is an Ultimate. What the hell is that? You know, this is Ultimate. Rah, 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 rah. You know, like, no, you guys don't understand. That's not Ultimate. This is Ultimate. So the backhand, and I coined the term lift. I coined the term elevator. I was doing all this stuff. I had the hex offense in 1986. Blah, 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 blah. Everybody's got a story. So a lift, instead of going into the wind with the nose up and the tail down, a proper lift is thrown downwind, preferably, with the nose down and the tail up. Now, there's a little confusion about a lift and a high release. A high release is just a release point. Most of my lifts, to be honest, are I start the motion from my torso, and the lift is only a few inches as I'm dribbling. It's because a lift, when it's properly thrown, is the most stable throw in the game. Downwind, upwind, crosswind, doesn't matter what. So that's not a high release. It's a backhand lift. Extremely effective. I'll do it from this angle so you can kind of see. So I'm going to gather some discs and do a little chatting here. So it took me a while to really, actually it took me a good 2 or 3 years, as simple as the backhand lift is. It took me a couple of years to really figure it out. I didn't have anyone to learn from, but you know, by 2003, 2004, it was finished. A couple of years later, sorry about that. Leave a marker here. Actually, do this one. A couple years later, 1985, 86, you know, I developed the flick lift. And by the way, that wasn't a lift. Technically, a lift, because it's a reverse air bounce, has to have the nose down and the tail up. So a lot of people I see throwing these little short, high-release flicks, but they're just air bounces. That's a normal air bounce. A lift has to have, you know, that upward thrust and downward movement. That's more of a lift. It's for the difference. In 1989, the day after the Loma Prieta earthquake, so it would have been October 18th, I was in the Bay Area, so it was pretty exciting. But I was out throwing, and I developed what was the precursor to the sidearm lift, which most people who see it for what it is are just blown away with it. I don't know if you caught that. It's completely stable. It's a double hyzer. I can park it wherever I want it to. It's very subtle, so it's not going to be, you can't throw it in a hurricane. But it is almost no spin. It's a very cool throw. And all these throws, by the way, other than the two that I've invented, I'll get to in a bit, I've thrown against elite teams for scores, etc. And most of these, including the backhand lift, when I started throwing it, they're all basically dunks. You know, I'm going to demonstrate with Max, who's a 6'6" marker, a surrogate for me. All these throws, if I'm on the goal line after I've shredded down the field and I've got an opportunity to score, most of these are great scoring opportunities. So the sidearm lift is thrown with the what I call the 4-finger spread, and I've developed 4 throws with this one grip. Thumb in the middle and the back. And this one, it's kind of a hook shot kind of throwing mechanic. Big loop. Totally stable. 2 revolutions. Great throw. In 92, 93, I developed what I call, and this is the one throw that's not a lift. It's kind of crazy. I invented an entire class of throws called the backhand, the reverse air bounce. 10 of these are reverse air bounces, lifts, elevators. The one that's not is a backhand flick. Now, a flick is I never heard the word flick until maybe 1990. We just called it a forehand or a sidearm. But a flick is just a quick throwing motion. A backhand is like this. A backhand flick, thumb on the inside of the disc, these 2 fingers here, that's a backhand flick. Now, while I gathered the disc, I'll chat a little bit here. That's kind of funny. All right, so it was some time after that I started to, probably at least 10 years before I was throwing a backhand flick lift. It's almost a lift. You can see on that one the nose is up a little bit, so that's a little air bounce, not a reverse air bounce, but it can be done. I think that's more of a backhand flick lift. Next, let's see. Don't have my notes with me. I know that at around 2009, this is Next would it be around 2006 is the chicken wing scuba. That name was invented by Luke Rickford back in the Bay Area, a kid I used to play a lot with. He saw it and he's like, what the hell's that? It's a chicken wing scuba. This one looks very weird. It looks like I'm a contortionist, but it's not as weird as it looks. 4-finger spread grip, crossbody like you're throwing a backhand. With that 4-finger spread, you turn the disc over and you throw it. Ooh, that wasn't very pretty. That's got a good pop on it, a good 3 or 4 feet. I've thrown this throw 40 yards. It's a pretty nice throw. I guess maybe one of my personal favorites, just as something people have never seen before. I've thrown this many, many times against top players for scores. It's a completely legitimate throw. Make no mistake. Around 2009, I don't know where I'm at here, I developed the forehand lift. So the sidearm lift is like this, chicken wing scuba is like this, sidearm lift, and this, you see me throw this against Max. Forearm lift, same 4-finger spread grip, you push straight up, and I can drop this right in over the marker with a good 4 or 5 foot pop on it. Easy money. Most of these are just dunks. You've shredded your ass off, you've destroyed the defense, you're on the goal line, now you want to dunk on them. And so that's a great throw. Totally legit, very effective. Shortly after that, I developed the chopper. It looks like a helicopter, and they used to call helicopters choppers, so I called it 4-finger spread. It's just the opposite of the forearm lift. It's the other spin. I've thrown this with a 10-foot pop, I think, sometimes, and just dropped in another great dunk. That's a little bit of an air bounce instead of a reverse air bounce, but you get the idea. So where does that leave us? I think there's room here for the dreaded dreidel. As most people know, a dreidel is a little Jewish toy that's a little bit of a top. It's kind of like maybe a die, like you're rolling the dice. It's got little characters on the different sides. The dreidel is a throw that you're really not touching the rim of the disc. You got 2 fingers on top pressing down on it, a thumb underneath, and you spin it like a top. So, I mean, you might touch the rim, obviously, but I'm not gripping the rim at all. Dunk. It's a totally unique throw. I've thrown it against elite players for scores. It's fun. A lot of spin, 3 or 4 foot pop. You know, give me a 6'6" marker, and I'm throwing it over his head. That's a nice lift. Nose down, tail up, upward thrust. The dreaded dreidel. Dreidel. Now, finally, I think that's 9. Which brings me to the space hook and the teardrop. The 2 throws that I invented last June 13th. I was out throwing with my son. He's actually the one, Sean, who named the space hook the space hook. I've always been enamored with the sky hook, which is a push pass. I don't think I invented it. I might have. I don't know who threw it first, but I'm not going to take credit for it. I don't really care. It's just a push pass with just a big upward motion. That's a lift. It's a reverse air bounce. So I was saying, okay, how can I throw a push pass and a push pass lift with the opposite spin. So it starts off with the chicken wing grip, same exact grip as a chicken wing, and upward throwing motion. It's just like the sky hook. That's why he called it the space hook. A lift motion on the other side of your body, and as you get up to the top, it's a push pass. No spin, over the defense, dropped it into the scoring zone, dunk. It's a great throw. I obviously haven't thrown it against any competition because I just invented it, and I haven't played competitively in the last year, but I still could. Dunk. So that's the sky hook, or the space hook, sorry. I was going to put a bounty on it. First person to throw that in a elite game against elite players on video with witnesses gets $1,000. But the problem is there are no elite players and there's no elite tournament. So there you go. Not until shredding takes over. It's the truth. Ultimate Frisbee is a recipe. The framework for it is a framework for systemic mediocrity. I'm not going to lie. The rules need to be overhauled. You'll see. So then I'm on my way home. All right, you got the space hook, right? Push pass at the top of the release. Oh, that's got a nice, that's a legit throw. Dunk. I'm on my way home, and I just realized there's another throw here. So same exact throwing motion, but instead of releasing it and pushing the disc off my fingertips, if I spin it the other way, you got that? So I don't even know what throw that is, because that's even, there's not, I don't even know if that's a, I've never seen that before. But it's called the teardrop for obvious reasons. Makes the defenders cry. But you just lift it up, and at the top of the peak, you snap your wrist this way. I've never seen these throws before, both of them. So at 63 years old, after playing for 54 years, I invented two more throws. Teardrop. Oops, not so easy. So there you have it, 11 throws. I have 10 of those, an entirely new class of throws, elevator, lift, reverse air bounce, whatever you want to call them. All legitimate, all viable. I think I got all 11 there. If I missed one, I'm gonna, I'll have to put that in post-production. That's money. Space hook. Almost no spin like the sidearm lift, which is just, everybody loves the sidearm lift. It's so pretty. And then the teardrop. Face this way. I'm here with Maximilian Coolingamp, who's 6'6". How big's your wingspan? That looks like about 78 inches, give or take. He can reach, stand up, he can slam dunk a basketball flat-footed. Actually, that's not true. But it's what, a good 8 feet stand, you can touch an 8-foot ceiling, no problem. Oh, yeah. I'm going to demonstrate a few of my throws against a 6'6" marker. The chopper, helicopter throw. Chicken wing scooper. Sidearm lift. Oh, I love that throw. Forearm lift. Whew. A couple of my new ones. Space hook. Oh, that's too bad. You have to jump higher. Too low. The teardrop. Oh, he got that one. Teardrop's a little tough. Oh, 2 in a row. Yeah, let's grab some of these. This helps warm up my vocal cords a little too. Okay, where's that teardrop? Oh, there we go. What else do we have? We've got the backhand flick lift. Oh, that's too bad. May not be a lift. The granddaddy of them all, the backhand lift. Anyway, too low.
That's, yeah, no way. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the granddaddy of them all. I invented that one in 1980, 81-ish. Is that all? I think that's most of them. There's a flick lift. Yeah, that's not my... I've seen some kids... more than enough. I mean, I've got what I need, but there was this kid, Jeremy Cram, from Santa Cruz in the 90s. He had a wicked flick lift, legit. He could throw it. So I called the amount of upward trajectory after it leaves my hand the pop. So this has got I mean, that's like a 8-foot pop. You know, this one's 3 or 4 feet, you know, 3 feet. This one's pretty good. Another 4 or 5 feet. He could throw a flick lift with 10, 15 foot pop, but there was this guy here named William Blackburn, just a kid. He's probably 25 or so by now. He would throw this flick lift 40 yards with a 20-foot pop. I mean, it was just insane how much he could lift it up. It was really nuts. All right, I think that's most of them. Oh, the lefty lift. Maximilian,
Right.
say hi to the folks at home. And thanks for coming out. You're going to be a worldwide superstar. So, and
Happy
if
to be
you
here.
catch his latest CD coming out next week, what's the name of the new album?
Still a working title, but...
All right, you have a good day. So, if you have any questions, you want to reach out, you want to read some of my material, go to Dogs and Baskets. Just Google Dogs and Baskets, you'll find me. Dogs and Baskets is named after our 2 favorite questions that we always get. Is that the game with the dogs or is that the game with the baskets? Why is it that after 55 years, Ultimate Frisbee doesn't get any respect? Dogs and Baskets. Yeah, I think it's almost like a push pass. You don't want to spin it too much. So, a couple of words about shredding. Like I said, I've been working on shredding for almost 40 years now, basically. Like I said, the Hex was developed in the... is a tournament, actually, in Chico, California, I think in 1986. And I developed it on the drive up to the tournament. And we won the tournament. It just blew everybody away. And the framework, the hexagonal pattern with a center post in the middle, was a framework for me to dribble a shred. Shredding breaks Ultimate because it allows you to run legally with the disc. And once you acquire a taste for shredding, I mean, for the last 30 years, I lived to shred. You know, probably longer than most of you guys are alive. You know, the layout catches, the diving, defensive blocks, the skying catches, that all got old really quickly. And for the most part now, I mean, shredding to me is like skateboarding or snowboarding. Like, it's just so much fun and so joyful and so intellectually stimulating and so creative. It's so liberating, as AJ would tell you. It changes the game completely. And the reason shredding works is because Ultimate was designed to be a dead ball sport. And I can prove this to anybody who's interested. By dead ball sport, I mean like baseball, where you run a play, and the play is dead, the game is dead until the next play, like football. You run a play, and the entire framework for Ultimate is based on the dead ball paradigm. Almost all the rules are rules that you would have in a dead ball sport, but Ultimate's not no one would even know that Ultimate's a dead ball sport had I not interviewed Irv Kalb and asked him a certain question. And I was like, oh my God, you're kidding me. So Ultimate needs to decide which it is. If it's truly a dead ball sport, that game has to come to a complete stop after every reception, reset, the defense sets up, everybody, then you do it again, like football. Or if it's going to be a continuous play sport, as it is, of course, you've got to rip out all the rules that are dead ball oriented rules, like running OB with the disc. That's a dead ball rule. It's not a turnover because the ball is dead. The play is dead as soon as you cross the line, so it's not a turnover. Then there's almost all the rules are dead ball rules. And what shredding does is it destroys that paradigm because there's no stoppage of play at all in shredding. It's a legal way of running with the disc, if that makes sense. It just obliterates the sport. It obliterates the rules, the spirit of the rules, the spirit of how to play the game. Almost everything that you think of it as of how the game is changes because of shredding. AJ and Johnny have both said the same thing on many occasions, which is that there's going to be a pre-Frank era and then the post-Frank era. Once shredding fully catches on and people realizes what it is, besides a whole lot of fun, the game's going to have to be overhauled. The rules need to be gutted, and all the dead ball rules need to be taken out. So that's it. Space hook, teardrop, that's a little better. Space hook, money, dunk. Thank you very kindly. Cheers.